So I was at an event recently and I showed one of the attendees this really cool feature on Instagram. Their reaction was so wild that it inspired me to make this video. Like, their mind was genuinely blown because they did not know that this feature existed. So in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing that feature with you in addition to loads of additional features that you may have never come across or even knew existed, right? There's even 2, maybe even more features which are pretty brand new. So I'm fairly certain that there's gonna be at least one feature that I mention in today's video that you have never used in the past. So let's just dive in. But before we do, if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. I upload content like this every single week. Okay, so let's get started with a new feature. It's called Dual. I'll show you on the screen here. Now, this might look familiar to some of you, and let me tell you why. You can probably already guess. This feature is a direct replica of another app. Right? We all know what Instagram's vibe is. They like to copy other apps, and there is another app which is very quickly gaining popularity called Be Real. Now, if you haven't come across Be Real before, it's a very fast growing app which essentially sends prompts to its users at different times of the day, asking them to upload a photo demonstrating what they're doing, right? So the idea is that you get an insight into your friends, your family, or other people's lives in all of its kind of rawness and authenticity, because the idea is that there's no filters or anything to hide behind. It's not a polished piece of content. It's literally you just snapping a photo of you being at work and then sharing it with your audience. So that's the whole concept behind Be Real. Now, this dual feature copies Be Real in a couple of ways. So the most obvious way is that it copies its functionality. So using this feature, you are able to film or take a photo of something else whilst also filming or take a photo of yourself. So it's got the dual screens. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, cool. It kind of copies Be Real, but the main essence of Be Real hasn't been copied, right? Because on that app, the whole idea is that you just share random photos throughout your day. Until I read an article which actually leaked an update coming to Instagram, or a new feature that they're testing called IG Candid. And get this right, I'm gonna actually read out what it says. Just let me read it out. This is what IG Candid is. Add others' IG Candid to your story tray, and every day at a different time, get a notification to capture and share a photo in 2 minutes. That is Be Real. That's literally Be Real. I mean, it's one of the most blatant copying I've seen in a while, but that's literally what Be Real is. So regardless, a new feature that is already come to Instagram, and one that you may not be aware of, is this dual camera feature that you can access on your stories. And potentially a new feature that might be coming to Instagram at a later date is IG Candid, which is a complete replica of Be Real. Next up, quick and easy one, which has genuinely changed my life. You know how dramatic I like to be, but this has made a big impact on me, this feature. If you have multiple accounts, then this is going to be one for you. So I've got a few different accounts. For example, I have an account for my business, I have a personal Instagram account, and I have another joint Instagram account which I share with my other half. I know how corny that sounds, guys. I know. Okay, I can hear you basically laughing at me through the screen. Yes, I have a joint Instagram account with my boyfriend. Leave me alone. So when you are switching between accounts, usually what you need to do is press on your profile picture on the bottom right hand corner, and it will bring up the other accounts that you can switch between. There is a quicker way though. If you want to simply switch back to the last account that you were on, you just have to double tap your profile photo in the bottom right hand corner. So by doing this, you are able to seamlessly switch between 2 accounts with just one simple double tap. So yeah, maybe life-changing was exaggeration, but it has saved me some time. Next up, we've got saved replies. So this is for all of you popular Instagrammers out there who just receive so many DMs that you couldn't possibly manage them all with ease at one time, right? This is for all of you guys. Now, saved replies is one of my favorite features on Instagram. It essentially allows you to save responses to direct messages. So if you use this feature on your actual mobile, then you'll be able to save 20 messages for you to access just by using a simple shortcut, and you can decide what that shortcut will be, right? Alternatively, if you do manage your inbox using Creator Studio, then you can actually save more responses. So it depends on how you manage it, but I kind of use both to manage my direct messages, and I use save responses all the time. So I'm gonna get up one of my Instagram accounts and I'm gonna show you an example. So this is the account that I share with Jamie, and all the messages between that account and my business account are just about food. But essentially what you want to do is click on this button here with the little speech marks and the couple of dots, and this will open up the save reply section, right? And here you can say that we already have one save reply here. I've got way more on my business page, but on our joint account we only have one. And if I click on it, it will basically open up the save reply. So essentially what this save reply is saying, hey, thanks for reaching out. Please can you message me at Jade Beason? We have that as a saved response because I often get people messaging our joint account who want to talk to me about business. So I need to direct them to my business account so that I can manage the conversation properly. So that's why we have a saved response, because it's a response that we consistently need, right? And if we click on that again, you'll also see the option, if you want to swipe to the left and select edit, you see the option to update that message, and also you can see what my shortcut is. And here the shortcut is Jade. So if I click out of that and type Jade into the message box, this little button on the right will appear because I've typed out one of my shortcuts. So when that appears, you just have to click it and the whole message will load by itself. So this, as you can tell, is obviously very, very useful and will save you a lot of time. The one thing I would need you to be aware of though is you don't want to get to a point where you have a bunch of saved messages, you never customize your messages, so you're just kind of sending out all of your saved messages like a bit of a robot, right? We're not a bot. We want it to be personal. We want to make sure that we're actually paying attention to what people are saying to us before we just fire out another pre-written message. So I like to save like templates a lot of the time. So I'll have a long message written out. Let's say someone asks about one of my services. I'll have a long message written out so that I know that I'm covering everything, but there'll be areas within that saved reply for me to update based on that person. So based on who they are, what information they're asking for, what challenges they're facing, etc. So that way I'm still able to simplify the process while still writing personal direct messages. Okay, so this hack, tip, feature, whatever we're calling it, was actually the one that I referred to in the intro. So this is the one that I showed someone at an event recently and they were like, mind blown. So essentially what this feature allows you to do is see all of your story mentions. So that's when someone else has uploaded a story and they've mentioned your Instagram page. You can see all of those mentions in one place, but you can also see how long you have left to reshare them to your own stories. So I'm pretty sure I pre-recorded this just out of fear that on the day where I wanted to record it, I wouldn't have any mentions. So let me have a look. So this is how you access the feature, right? You want to get your Instagram page up, obviously, and then you want to go to the story section. So you want to swipe to the right so that you get your story section up. What you then want to do is click on the button what says create, and more on this create feature later, but you want to click on the button what says create, and then on the bottom you're going to see a bunch of different tools. You want to scroll until you see the @ sign because that means mentions. When you click on that, Instagram's going to show you all of the stories that you have been mentioned in. So here you can see that I've been mentioned in 2 stories, and if I click the see all button, it will open up all of the stories that I've been mentioned in so I can see them holistically and see what I've been tagged in. But not only that, you'll see that it also says how long I have left to repost, because on the bottom of each story it says, for example, 23 hours, which means I've got 23 hours left for me to share this story, because once that person's story expires, I won't be able to share it anymore, right? And if you want to share it, all you have to do is click on that story and press the @ button, and it will appear in your normal story editing window, and you can proceed to share it on your stories. So this is really, really great for anyone who gets a lot of mentions, or if you are going to an event, or if you manage an event. That was the context of me speaking about it at the event I went to previously. I was speaking to the lady who was running the event, and she was talking about how she's getting so many mentions and she can't organize them. So that's why when I showed her that, she was like, oh my God, this is an absolute game changer, right? So really, really useful tool to use. I recommend giving it a go. So whilst we're on the topic of stories, let's talk a little bit more about the create function, because it's massively underutilized. I don't even know if people really understand that it's there, but it is. So let me show you it. So I'm on my stories again now. Yes, I've got this bit missing from my ring light. It's not even lost. I know exactly where it is. I just couldn't bother to put it on. So what you want to do is press this little button down there if you don't know which button is create, because it will open up this toolbar where it actually describes what each of these tools are. But create is always the one what has like the 2 A's, right? So click on create, and it's going to open up this function which will allow you to create different story types. And it's very, very useful for anyone who struggles to come up with content ideas for their stories. So if you scroll along, I'll show you a quick rundown of some of the different features. So this one is just a blank screen which will allow you to type different things if you wanted, add stickers, add photos, whatever you want. So the next one is for mentions. So it basically just gives you the ability to mention people, maybe say happy birthday. You'll see at the top every now and again it will have this dice, or these whatever. When that appears, you want to click it because it's basically going to shuffle the different story content ideas for you to give you different ideas. So I'll show you that in a little bit more detail in a second. So keep on scrolling. There's an opportunity for you to add a GIF and to search for a GIF. This one's just a random content idea. So if you click see all at the top, you'll be able to pick from different options. So there's an option to have like a quote of the day. Maybe you want to do a what am I listening to, and then detail your top 5 picks for the week. It's just different content ideas. Keep on scrolling. This one is going to show you your archives. So this is going to show you a story that you shared 1 year ago to this date. So this is one that I shared a year ago, talking about the fact that I used to love to read Harry Potter as a child. The next one is a Q&A box. Keep on scrolling, and this one is a question and answer. So if you've recently run a Q&A box on your stories, I did a couple of days ago, you're going to get the different questions that people asked you appearing here in one place. And if you click on see all, you'll see all of the questions. I'm not going to show you that because then you'll see the @handles for people who ask me questions, and they're anonymous, so I can't show you that right now, but that's an example of how to use that. Keep on scrolling, and you've got the option to create a countdown timer. Click the little dice here, and it's going to give you different content ideas. So maybe school's over, the weekend's coming, it's quitting time, etc. Keep on scrolling to the last bar, and you are going to see this one, which is basically a toolbar which allows you to create different polls. And again, if you click the dice at the top of the screen, it will give you different poll ideas. So if you're ever stuck for content ideas, this might help. So where do I want to live? What gives me the creeps? Blah, blah, blah. It's all very self-centered, these ideas. But regardless, it is super useful if you do struggle for content ideas on your stories. Okay, so let's talk about your close friends and also your favorites. The hack here is specifically about how you manage your close friends and your favorites, as opposed to me just talking about the fact that these features exist, because you might already know that. In case you don't know that though, there are 2 features called close friends and favorites, which were introduced by Instagram fairly recently. Now, close friends is essentially a feature which allows you to identify specific people who you consider to be close friends. And when you add people to your close friends list, you're able to do things like upload story content which only your close friends will see. And you'll know if you've been added to someone's close friends because when someone uploads story content which is only for their close friends, the ring or the circle around their profile photo will actually be green rather than like the pink color that normally exists around people's profile photos up where the story tab is, right? So that's close friends. The other version of that is favorites, and this is more of a recent update. And Instagram favorites allows you to essentially mark specific accounts as your favorite. And when you do that, it means that you see their content above everyone else's. But not only that, it also means that you can filter your home screen so that you are only seeing content from your favorite accounts. Okay, so that's an overview of what close friends is and what favorites are. Now, whilst you might already be using these features, you might not realize that there's a simple way for you to manage all of the contacts under your close friends and under your favorites list. Now, the steps that you might be currently following to add people to your close friends and to your favorite list might be that you go onto their profile, you click on the little following button, and then you add them to your close friends or to your favorites list that way. Now, the quicker way for you to do this is to head to your own Instagram profile, click on the settings button on the top right hand corner and scroll down to where it says favorite and close friends. When you click on either option, Instagram will actually show you a list of accounts who you engage with the most, or sometimes it's just people who you've recently followed. And from there, you're able to super quickly add people to your favorites list based on Instagram's recommendations. But also, if there are people there who you want to add to your list who aren't listed as their recommendations, you can use the search bar in that feature too to find their account and add them to your close friends or to your favorites. So you would have seen in my example on my favorites list, I mainly have my other accounts, people I know, or my previous clients. So I always like to add my previous clients or my current clients to my favorites list so that I see their content super high up on my feed, right? So that's a really great way for you to manage your close friends and your favorite list in one space rather than then manually adding them one by one. Next one, locations. So this is a weird one because it's kind of new, but also not new. It's like a revamped version of something that Instagram used to have. So essentially, you might remember back in the day, you used to be able to search different locations like restaurants, hotels, etc. on Instagram. And then this page would come up where you'd be able to see any stories from any account, which was public, who tagged that location. So I don't know if you guys remember this. It was a couple years ago and I used to love it because I would like search for a hotel that I was staying at on holiday and just binge watch all of the stories associated with that hotel because it would get me really excited for my holiday. I don't know if that's sad. I still do that now, but that feature disappeared for a while. And I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it was just because they were spending time updating it. But now it's back and it has a whole new look. So let me show you what I mean. So, sorry, I'm laughing to myself a bit because I just did the screen recording and looked up one of my favorite restaurants and I couldn't show you it because the content which appeared was so inappropriate. I can't believe it. It's just not what I was expecting to see on an Instagram page. Anyway, so instead I'm going to use the Hoxton as example, which is, again, one of my favorite hotels, restaurants. I am a fan. So I've just searched for the Hoxton, and when you search for a place on your Instagram search bar, you'll see the opportunity to click on places, which will be on the right hand corner, right? So you want to click on the places tab and then click on the correct location. So I've clicked on the Hoxton, right? It's going to open up this new locations, places page, whatever you want to call it, and it has some really cool features to it. So as you can see, you can watch all of the stories which have the Hoxton tagged by clicking on the big circle button in the middle. So that's really cool. You can also see all of the photos which people have uploaded and tagged the Hoxton in. There's an opportunity for you to contact the Hoxton. So there's a contact button and that will open up a phone number, an email address, whatever it is that the business has actually included as part of their Instagram profile. One of my favorite parts though is you're able to search the area. So if you click on the map at the top, you can actually browse the different restaurants or the different hotels in the area, and it will show you this really beautiful visual representation of the different things happening around that location, which I really love. It's like a more multimedia version of your standard map service. Do you know what I mean? So when you're looking for somewhere else to go to dinner, which I'm constantly looking for, I feel like I'm going to start using this now. So I'm a huge fan of this feature. It is pretty new and they didn't make a big splash about it when they released it. So I feel like a lot of you guys wouldn't have even noticed that it existed. Next up, we've got the good old QR codes. Does anyone feel like QR codes are making a bit of a comeback? Because remember when they were first released and it was like this huge thing, everyone was like, oh my God, technology is amazing. And then everyone was like, oh my God, everyone's bored of it, right? Anyone can have a QR code. And now I feel like they're kind of coming back again. I don't know, my own theory. But essentially, you may or may not know that you actually have your own QR code for your Instagram page. We all have one and we can all access it and share it with others. Let me show you how. So what you wanna do is get up your Instagram page, head to the settings button on the top right-hand corner, and then you're gonna click on QR code, pretty self-explanatory, right? But when you're in there, there's a few cool things you can do. So you can change like the background. So by using the button at the top of the screen, you can change the design. So I've just clicked on color, and to change the color of the screen, you just have to click the screen. So just keep on clicking the screen and the color will change. So click the button at the top to change the design. This is an emoji one. Let's change it to this one. And then you can do it again to change the design again. The selfie one, which is cool. So yeah, you can play around with it and get different designs. And then when you want to save it, you press the button on the top right hand corner and it will give you the opportunity to save it to your camera roll, right? So some cool ways that you can use this. I saw someone host a workshop once, and on the final screen, they just had the QR code on the screen rather than having like their actual Instagram handle, which I'm sure they still had on the screen. But rather than getting people to type out their Instagram handle, they just got people to lift their camera in front of the screen. The QR code would appear and that would give them a link to their Instagram page, which I thought was super smart. So really you want to be thinking about using it as almost a business card for your Instagram page, right? And finding different ways for you to use it in that regard. For example, on a business card. Could also go on your business card, right? So this next one is one of my favorites. It's your story archives. And I've kind of mentioned it before when I was showing you the create feature, but essentially what it is an archive folder of all of your story content. So you can literally get your stories that you shared years ago back up and share them with your audience, or you can just look at them, because that's what I like to do. Like on my personal account, I love just sitting down and going through all my stories from like 5 years ago. I don't know why, I just find it very like nostalgic. I absolutely love it. Because of the nature of your story content, it's usually behind the scenes content, it's super raw. So when you look back at it, you actually feel like you're there again. Like you really remember that moment that you experienced a few years back and captured a story of. So that's how I personally use it. But you know, for business use, it's also great because you can find old story content that you created and reshare it with your audience. So this is how you access it. You want to go on your Instagram page, head on the settings button on the top right hand corner, and then you want to click on archives. From there, you'll see the opportunity to actually see some of your other archives. So it's not just for stories. If you click on the button on the top of the screen where it says story archive, click on that and it will give you the option to actually see your post archive or your lives archives as well. For now, I'm going to focus on my story archives because that's my favorite. So here you can see all of my old story content. And if you shared a story exactly 1 year or a couple years prior to you looking at this feature, it will appear on the bottom of the screen. So can you see that on mine it says on this day? So it's showing me the story that I shared on this day last year, which is a really cool feature. So there's a few different ways that you can browse through all of your old story content. So one way is just by simply scrolling, right? Which is really useful when you're trying to find a story that you uploaded fairly recently. You'll see that when you scroll, a little button will appear on the right hand corner, which will have the date. If you click that and drag it, you'll be able to scroll through your content a lot quicker. And also the date will change and correspond with the story content that you're looking at. So here you can see that it's saying October 2021. So when I release my finger from the screen, it's going to show me all of my story content from October 2021. And also it's going to give me the specific dates on it as well. This is me and just eating a donut. I don't know what that story was about, but whatever. Another way that you can browse your stories is by clicking on the calendar tab. And this is going to show you all of your stories by date. So you can literally get this holistic view of all of your story content by day and by month. The final way is by clicking on the maps tab, and this will show you your stories based on where you were in the world when you uploaded them. So when I zoom out, you can see that I've got some stories obviously from London, but also from Siena in Italy and also Madeira. I wonder if I have any from anywhere else. Weirdly got one here from North America, and I've not been to North America in a really long time, so I must have tagged the wrong place then, because the function that Instagram will use to figure out where you are and therefore show your content on a map is your location sticker. So the content where you've added a location sticker will appear on this map feature. So that's it. That is a rundown of some of my favorite new / secret features that you may not have used on Instagram. Please can you let me know in the comments if any of those were completely new to you, because I would just love to know. If you feel like hanging around for a little bit longer, I do recommend watching this video. It's all about Instagram's algorithm, and it's actually part of a 3-part series where I disclose everything there is to know about the algorithm in a lot of detail. So it is a must watch. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.